Hello everyone, and welcome back to Misfits Racing League action. We are here once again. It's Tier 1 time, and joining me always from the land down under, Mikhail. How you doing?
G'day, everybody. Welcome from the wonderful land of Australia. Hoping to see some good racing from all these drivers here this evening. I hope everyone in this stream is having a wonderful day, as well as you, Striffy, my lovely co-commentator here today. Should be a good one. I'm hoping there's at least some action here on track. Hungary, very hard circuit to overtake, but certainly not impossible. But it will definitely require a lot of commitment from all of our drivers here this evening.
Definitely not impossible, as we've seen now 3 races here, 14 turns around this circuit. That one major DRS zone down into turn 1 there, where these drivers get a little bit of DRS down into turn 2 on the exit. Really, those are the two major overtaking opportunities we've seen get utilized here this week. Of course, we had EU, Oceanic, now Tier 2 just before this race. Of course, let's take a look real quick at where we've been once again. Of course, Hungary, round 13 for Tier 1 today. We move ahead next week. We go to Spa, of course. Following that, Italy, Singapore, Russia, of course, Suzuka there in the Japanese Grand Prix round 18. We have the US, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi to finish out the season. And it's been a very intense season for this Tier 1 grid, Mikhail. We've been seeing it get even more intense each race we have. And the Hungarian is a pressure cooker in those situations. We have Brainstew and Becky B over at Mercedes, Alex Bido and Brownie over at Ferrari, with Swifty and the newest addition to the full-time slot over at Red Bull, replacing none other than Zamis. It's Microlander. We have Yoda, Rackety over at McLaren, Remco Van Putten and BTFU over at Renault. We have Shenji and Freeware for AlphaTauri. Ubar and Neon Rays for Racing Point. It's Nigel McYeadis, of course, and John over at Alfa Romeo, with Henners and Astrodite over at Haas. Haas had a spectacular drive in Tier 2 today, both making it massive positions to get some good points for the team, so they'll be happy over in Tier 1 with that result, so perhaps they can carry that momentum ahead. King and Ace over at Williams. Ace, another new member to this grid. He'll be replacing Custom on a full-time basis. Custom having some scheduling stuff come up, preventing him from racing, so we hope to wish him well, and hope things go all right with, I think he got a new job, so that would be awesome for him. Now let's take a look at the standings, Mikhail. Things quite tight between the top two. It's Shenji and Yoda in a neck-and-neck battle, 3 points separating the two. Shenji on the top of that one. We have Freeware right behind Yoda, the teammate to the current leader, with 101 points. Alex Bido, Brownie there, Nigel, Brainstew, Van Putten, King, and Astrodite, your top 10. Let's take a look, of course, at the Constructors. The Constructors, we have AlphaTauri, as well as Ferrari, and that's McLaren in your top 3. So very tight. Of course, multiple incidents resulting in penalty points. Keep it clean. The stewards are not happy, are they, Mika?
No, there certainly has been a lot of incidents coming in recently, but you kind of expect that from a grid that is as competitive as this. Everyone is so tightly matched with pace that it really is make or break. One mistake can lead to losing a multiple positions, and a large mistake at that can bring you all the way out of the points. So this tier 1 grid is definitely a pressure cooker, as you said, Striff, and at a track that isn't typically known for its great overtaking. That can certainly provide us probably a bit of drama. So we have that to look forward to here from the commentary booth and all of the lovely spectators here watching along with us in the Twitch chat.
Of course, round 13, a very intense grid. 19 drivers on the grid today, from what I can see here. And we have Ace, Remco Van Putten, Neon Rays, BTFU, Swifty, Sandako, Rackety. I think Sandako's in a reserve capacity over for, what is that then that I'm completely losing my mind? Becky. Over.
That'd be Becky.
Yeah, that's Becky over at Mercedes having Sandako fill in. And we have Rackety there in 7th, Microlander, the newest full-time on the grid in 8th. Some idiot is on the grid today in a reserve capacity. Freeware, Nigel, Henners, John, Astro, Brownie, Yoda, Biddo, Rez is here as well. He's filling in for Custom. No, sorry, King. And then we have Brainstew there. In the other Mercedes, 19 drivers on this grid. 19 very, very fast, intense drivers on this grid. Fraser coming across now. He's explaining things are dry, Mick.
Yes, there is not a cloud in sight at the moment, so these drivers won't have anything to worry about in the qualifying session and in the race, it would seem. Yet to see if there are a few clouds in the race, but I have been told by one of the drivers as well that it is going to be a completely dry event. So these drivers are going to be going flat out, and I'm curious to see which strategy all these drivers decide to go for, because there has been some discussion as to whether the softs to hards or the medium to hards is the optimal strategy. And with how difficult it can be to overtake, and the sheer delta between the softs and the mediums, I believe it's something like 1.1 to 1.2 seconds per lap when they are both fresh. Hopefully going to be seeing some quite fast times. I'm curious to see who's going to try the mediums in such a tight grid, Striffian.
Henner's the first driver out in the Haas. He's got the Alfa Romeo behind him. Really close. That's Nigel itching to go ahead, but it's going to be Henry just saying, no, Nigel, I'm taking the glory here. So it's going to be Henry, the first driver to set a flyer around the Hungaroring. Mick, take us through a lap.
So out of the final corner, DRS open now as we start the lap on board with the Haas driver. All the way up the gears, 8th gear, about 315 kilometers an hour. Looking for that 100-meter board. Just after that, you're braking there, down the gears, trying to get the car rotated nice and well for turn 1 to keep it tight to the right-hand side. Heading to turn 2, have to be very, very patient on the throttle. It's going to be very easy to lose the rear of the car there. Turn 3, completely flat in these cars. Trying to use all the curb there. And then turn 4, very, very hard, fast left-hander, using all of the track available. Into turn 5, careful to not touch the inside curb, otherwise you will spin out the car right there. And then turn 6, turn 7, very technical chicane, heading to the technical part of the circuit. Turn 8, turn 9, it's tighter than you think. Careful not to run too wide, otherwise you could invalidate your lap time. Turn 10, turn 11, a small break, and then it's completely flat foot. Heading into turn number 12, 4th gear, trying to aim for that concrete strip on the outside of the curbing. Turn 13, the penultimate corner, 180 degrees to the left, and then again 180 degrees to the right for the final corner. Turn 14, important to get a good exit here, and that is a lap around the Hungarian. It's a 1:16.1 to start us off.
Sandako right on his rear, or was that Brainstew? Brainstew right on the rear of Henner starting a flyer. There's going to be a few other drivers coming across the line now as Astrodate in the other Haas on the softs goes 1:14.4. Nearly 1:14.5 there, a 4:95 from him.
A whole second and a half faster than his teammate. Freeware now going across the line with a 1:13.7. So the competitive lap times are starting to come in. I think we might be able to see some drivers break into the high 12s if they are able to put the lap together.
Well, Freeware did a bit of an abort there at the end of the lap. I don't know if he slowed down enough, though, to get a good medium run in.
Well, to be at that time on the mediums is certainly no easy feat. Possible for a driver of Freeware's caliber. He has shown great pace throughout the season thus far. But a 13.7 on mediums would certainly be quite the lap for him as Brainstew will start us off with a 13.2. That's probably the first competitive lap time on those red-walled soft compound tires.
Microlander on a lap. Some idiot is on what would appear an in-lap now. And yes, he is. Microlander, though. The newest full-time driver to the grid. In the Red Bull. Flying through into the 6-7 chicane.
course, this isn't his first race with us, Triffium. He participated with us in Silverstone last week.
Yes, he
I
did.
believe he got a solid P4 in that race. So he showed that he has great pace, but that car looks very, very unstable. You can just see him snapping the wheel. Looks very, very oversteer. I don't know if the tires are really overheating. It doesn't look like they're in their correct operating window. And as a result, he seems to be really struggling here on these tires, but he seems to have kept it under control enough. We'll see what the time is. I don't think it's going to be anything too great. It's a 14.2, so he's a whole second off Brain Stew at the moment, but we've seen what he's capable of doing last week, and I'm sure he's got plenty more left in the tank.
Variety of drivers right now, all on in laps or aborted laps. Shenjay now has joined us. And there answers the question of the remaining driver on this grid, ladies and gentlemen. Shenjay has now joined us here over at AlphaTauri. Of course, he is in a neck-and-neck fight with Yoda for lead of this championship. So happy to have him here to contest for points. Now, one thing, Rez in the Williams, Mikal, if I'm not mistaken, did he...
Oh, sorry to cut you off there, Striff. Nigel has crashed. Nigel has crashed at the exit of turn 4, and he is out of the session, and he wasn't able to set a lap. So he'll be starting from the back of this grid. The two-time race winner here, I still do believe, if I'm correct on that. Lots of pace, and that's going to be super, super unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo guys. So their qualifying efforts now all rest on Jean, who's currently sitting in P7 with a 15.6 on those mediums.
Alex Bitto just invalidated coming out of turn 11 on that exit curb that we've seen quite a few people do. And I was just going to say, Rez, with a very strong first time here at 114.2, he's on an outlap, Mikal, and he's from your neck of the woods, isn't he?
Yes, my fellow countryman. He's improved immensely over the past week or so. And yeah, he's really finding confidence here in that car. He's able to get the setup tweaked to his liking. It looks like the other Mercedes of Sindaco coming across the line with a 13.5, so 3/10 off his teammate, but it's a Mercedes 1-2. Surprise, surprise. Where are we used to seeing that one, Striff?
I've never seen that
Rez,
ever.
Never. Absolutely never.
Never.
It's unheard of. Meanwhile, Rez looks like he's gearing up to go. So why don't we ride on board with the Australian? Just filling in that Williams seat. Into turn 1 now, second gear. Able to get some great rotation out from the car. Up to 7th gear, braking and turning in just sort of around the 50-meter board. Using all the track there, trying to use as much of the curb at turn 3 as possible. You really want to attack it there just to keep it nice and tight, shortest run through. And he's turned in too early for turn 4, and he's cut that inside strip. So that is an invalidated lap time for the Australian. So very, very unfortunate for him, especially after he was a 10th and a half up in the first sector.
Has had an issue coming outside of turn 1, Mikal. His car has gone a 90-degree right-hander into the inside wall here. Got a good chunk of damage on that front end, I believe. No, he doesn't. What the heck did he do? I think
he might have just spun it. He might have just spun it, and they're probably able to keep it out of the wall if he's not suffered any damage. But yeah, the traction zone at the exit of turn 1 can be quite tricky, actually. Seen a couple of spins there in my time, and have experienced some myself as well. So it's definitely not something that should be taken lightly. Actually, there's quite a few traction zones that can be quite punishing with a oversteery setup.
On board with
such
Yoda.
As the ones through sector 3 as well.
Coming through the chicane now. No time set from him. He's on the medium compound tires.
We'll see what he's able to do on those. Looking at a low to mid 14 on those is a pretty competitive lap time. He's in that championship hunt, Striff, so he needs to have a good qualifying position here. He has the Williams of Ace Ritchie in front of him. So that might cost him a little bit with the dirty air, but it shouldn't be a whole lot. What's the time going to be? It's going to be a 14.5 for the Albanian. He's able to put that car into 7th position for the time being, but only 10 drivers to set lap times thus far. And we're over halfway through the session, Striff.
A lot of drivers really struggling here, and I'm sure the stream can agree with us when I say when we've been flipping through to some of these cars, we've been seeing a lot of red circuit maps popping up on screen here. Neon Rays, he's running out of the final turn now. He's on a flyer, and he's hit his ERS deployment, but it's going to be good enough for P4 in the Racing Point Mikau. And this is starting to look quite representative, save for Freeware and that Alpha Tauri in P2. But, well, and Microlander just shoots into pole.
Don't look now, Striff, but Alex Bitto is also out of this session, and he also hasn't set a lap time. His car's just sitting there at the outside of turn 3. And yeah, so our back row has been settled. Nigel and Bitto, two very, very quick drivers, will be starting from the back of this race. So we'll have to keep our eyes on them through the 35 laps.
A lot of these drivers holding back on some of their laps, Mikau, but a lot of these drivers struggling just the same just to get a lap in, and that may cost them.
It can be very, very hard to get a lap in around the Hungary ring. It's a track where you really have to throw the car in and just trust that the grip's there, trust that the downforce and the setup just works. And if not, it really hampers your lap time, or you either understeer or overcorrect the oversteer and run off the circuit. These white lines are very, very strict around here. So I'm not super surprised that some drivers are struggling to set lap times. But certainly need to put at least something on the board before, you know, we're bidding your whole session entirely. And it looks like Nigel and Bitto have given themselves a lot of work to do in this race.
Kind of a lot of work to do. The Renaults are flying. Remco just started. BTFU's coming through 6 and 7. Of course, if you're just tuning in, we have 5 minutes remaining with a little bit of give and take, given the desync, of course. But my name's Striffium, and joining me is Mikau, and we're about to jump into Tier 1 racing action here around the Hungary ring. Of course, if you're new, welcome. If you've been here for the whole season, welcome back. And we are super happy to have you all with us. Of course, share the stream and get your friends in, because things are about to get real tense on this timing tower, Mikau.
And speaking of, Sindaco reserving for Becky B, and that Mercedes has shot back up to provisional pole with a 1 minute 13.1. So we are very, very close at illustrious 1 minute 12s. And BTFU as well coming across the line for P11 at the moment. Only 3 milliseconds off Henry. So he shouldn't be too disappointed with that time. Maybe a bit more left in the tank, but he's still got time to put on a fresh set of softs if he so chooses.
NJ on a flying lap right now. He's coming around the final turn. We'll see what his first time of the session is going to be. He's 7, 1:14.1.
14.1, so he's got a lap on the board, but can't say he'd be probably too happy with that one, considering he's a second off the pace of the front runners at the moment. Maybe he's just warming up. Did join the session late, so that is certainly possible. Swifty as well is yet to set a lap time in this session. He's currently making his way through Sector 1. And Some Idiot as well, with only a few minutes remaining, also yet to set a lap time. He'll be starting his one very soon as well.
Nigel and Bitto both out of this race really makes you wonder what's going to happen come race time, as Some Idiot, he just takes his time coming through into the start of his laps, and it's something that I think a lot of people need to take note of here. He gets it dialed in, Mikau.
He is a very, very fast driver. Certainly one of the more well-known talents here in the PC community. We'll see what he's able to do around the Hungary ring here. Looks very nice and tidy so far. Sector 1's looking pretty strong. See how he handles sector 2. Maybe a little bit tentative there into turn 4, but he's able to keep it within the lines. Get that time on the board. I'm sure he doesn't want to be starting 18th in a track where it's very difficult to overtake. But you can just see that he has a lot of confidence in that car. A little bit of a correction. But on the whole, it looks like a very, very clean lap. You see the grip using all of the outside curbing available to him. Any wider, he probably would have invalidated his lap time. A little bit of a lockup on the front right heading into turn at 12. And a big lockup into 13. So that's certainly less than ideal for him. But it doesn't seem to have cost him too much time. Outside through the final corner. DRS open, it's going to be a 14.4. So he's a tenth faster than Yoda on the mediums, but it's still only P10, given the massive, massive delta between the softs and the mediums.
That's a very good P10, though, considering he's on those mediums. He'll start on those mediums.
Yes, that is true. That if he stays within the top 10, he is obliged to. Of course, just like real Formula 1 in Q2, those drivers all within the top 10 are required to start on the same tyres that they set their fastest lap on in a dry qualifying session. So as it stands, the top 9 will be starting on those red-walled soft compound tyres, and some idiot, the lone medium runner inside that top 10, but there's still a few minutes remaining, I should say a couple minutes, for these drivers to start their final flying runs. And we'll see who is able to get themselves further up this grid.
Looking in on Brownie over at Ferrari. He's just cut the inside of turn 4, McCown. He's not going to be too thrilled about that. He was on a medium run.
No, that certainly is less than ideal. The time is ticking, Striff. I don't know how much extra time the drivers are going to have due to Codemaster's game synchronization being on point as usual. But
flying through turn 4.
He's certainly put himself on the back foot.
Brackety kept it clean through turn 4 there. He's flying in the McLaren right now. A lot of drivers on this grid flying. We're going to try to hone in on who's going to be crossing the line and when.
Looks like Yoda's starting his flying lap. One of the Haas's is coming through as well. That would be Henna's starting his final run as well. Ace starting his.
Freeware finished a lap with a near 10th improvement. It was 800ths of an improvement there, Mika. It puts him into second position. 600ths of a second ahead of Microlander.
That's a very, very good effort, and it's only 800ths off Sindako on provisional pole. The checkered flag has dropped. Rackety setting the first of the final times, 1 minute 14.1. So that'll be P9 at the moment for the McLaren driver. That does push some idiot outside of those that are top 10. One of the runners coming across now, Remco Van Pruden, he can't improve in this time, so he'll be 15th at best. Chen Jay only good enough for P6 with a 13.3. And some idiot there coming across the line again, unable to really improve on his time. Stays in P11 with a 1 minute 14.2.
Well, Sindako in his first reserve opportunity on an official race. Definitely wowing as he sets the provisional pole time.
Neon Reyes will be the next driver to set another lap time. What's it going to be? He's going to jump Shenjie up into P6 with a 1 minute 13.35. So very, very tight times here for these top 7. We have a 6-10 gap back for the rest. And that is our grid, it would seem.
Hold the phone, Ace. No, he's on a really long lap, so I completely retract that. So that is going to be the grid. Yes, Sindako on pole position with Freeware in second. Microlander rounding out your top 3.
Yes, Brains doing the other Mercedes. Filling up the second row. 5th row will be Ace Ritchie and Neon Rays in that 5th and 6th. What a great qualifying for Neon Rays in P6 for the Racing Point squad. Chenjay, our current championship leader, in 7th place, so not exactly where he would like to be on the grid. He doesn't have too much to worry about since Yoda, his main championship rival, only 3 points in it, remember, ladies and gentlemen, between those two. He's down in 12th position. Rez will line up alongside Chenjay on that 4th row, and Rackety and Astrite rounding off the top 10 for this one. Some idiot filling in at Racing Point for the wonderful Fubar. He will be in 11th place. Yoda, as I said before, in 12th. He'll be looking to make the alternate strategy work for him. Henners in 13th alongside BTFU in 14th. Remco Van Putten in the other Renault next to his teammate Brownie in 16th. Quite a dreadful qualifying for him. Jean, in 17th. Swifty in 18th. And Nigel and Alex Biddo unable to set lap times in this session. They'll be starting from the back row striff. And oh boy, this grid is going to produce some incredible racing. Quite a few drivers out of position.
Well, we've had a little bit of everything this week. We had 3 safety cars and a VSC in EU on Tuesday. We had, what was it, 3 VSCs in this morning's, well, yesterday evening's Oceanic race in your case.
Yeah, there's 2 virtual safety cars in that one.
Yeah, so 2 VSCs in that. Then earlier in Tier 2, we had a full safety car with a couple of VSCs. What is this race going to bring us? Now, all dry for all these races. That's one thing. Of course, Shenjay, I do believe, is going to get knocked to the back of the bus here, Mikhail, because he did join late in qualifying. So that is going to set him behind Yoda in reference to this championship fight. Of course, it's Yoda in P2 in the championship fight right now, 3 points behind Shenjay, the current championship leader. All of the drivers now on the formation lap.
Yeah, Chenjay. It's penalty for joining late, I suppose. He'll be at the back. So that just puts even more drivers out of position there. That promotes some idiot into that top 10. So why don't we have a look at the tyre strategies that all these drivers are going to be embarking on?
Well, you've got 5 sets of mediums, Mikhail, 6 sets of hards on this grid, with the remainder all red-rimmed soft compound tires. And of course, it's the top 9 on the softs. Some idiot is on the hards in 10th position, Mikhail. You see the predicted pit stop strategy there. You have a 1-stop option, soft, hard, potentially, or you have a 2-stop and do soft, medium, medium, or soft, medium, hard. Or there's a few different strategies these racers can deploy here, Mikhail. And of course, you drove around here yesterday. You had a little bit of both come at you. You had a safety car, you had the VSC. So, you know, what do you think is the best option here?
Well, certainly the track position for those running on the softs is something that they will need to capitalize on at this fairly overtaking, hindering, I'm going to call it that, circuit. Can be quite hard to pass. Not impossible, but certainly is very, very difficult. I speak from experience. But yeah, the softs can really start to die within the first 2 to 3 laps if you don't look after them properly. So if you're coming under pressure and you need to use some more of that battery, use some more of that fuel, and really use the grip advantage that those softs have in order to maintain position, those tires will overheat fairly quickly. In this circuit, not really much of an opportunity for those tires to cool down. They cool down a little bit in Sector 1, but that's about it. They're going to be taking a lot of load throughout the rest of the lap.
Well, most definitely, Mikhail, as all the drivers now to the line here. Shenjay, the last driver. The lights are on. 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Budapest. The drivers now revving their engines here. Around the Hungarian, we're about to go. It's the Mercedes of Sandako in a reserve capacity on pole, and we're away racing here in Hungary. Great start from a lot of these drivers right now. Neon Ray is under immediate threat here as there's a big jumble of cars coming down into turn 1. It's the 2 Haas drivers on the inside of the McLaren. That's going to be Yoda. Very, very tight between all of these racers. Ace has had a wheel-to-wheel exchange. It's 3 wide coming through turn 2. It's 3 wide coming through turn nearly 3 wide, I have to say, and it's just doubled up all over this grid, Mikau, as there's exchanges up and down the field, but nobody has spun around yet. But as I say, we're coming through turn 4. Clean so far at the front of the grid. How's it going at the rear? Still, things are very clean. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tier 1 Racing here in Hungary.
Yeah, it's very, very tight racing between all these drivers at the moment. Remco Van Putten side by side with Yoda going through Sector 2. Yoda able to hold on to that P11 slot. Henner's up into P10. He's had a great start. He's into that position on the hard. Some idiot falling down a couple of positions as well. But at the front of the grid, it looks like most drivers are holding station there. So Brainstew in that P3 position. I don't know if he was behind Michael Leonard or not. So my apologies for that one, ladies and gentlemen. But he is up into the final podium position now, as all these drivers are very, very tight. Nigel having a little bit of a spin there in turn number 2, but he's able to quickly catch back up to the rest of this train. And
Yoda.
All these drivers all within such close proximity of each other.
Yoda on the inside of Henners, as you say, Mikau. He's dispatched the Haas for 10th position, looking to catch up with Rackety, and it looks like there's been an exchange between some idiot. He's wheel to wheel right now. Who's that? That's going to be Van Putten.
Some idiot making the move on BTFU around the outside of turn 3. So very, very well done from him. He's looking to recover from that less than ideal start. Rackety as well, getting past Aphrodite for P8. So Yoda will have to get past the Haas as quickly as he can in order to make this strategy work. It's around this point that the softs still start to feel a little bit of wear. There's a bit of an exchange going on for P16 at the moment between Alex Bitter and Swifty. Alex Bitter able to get past him on that occasion. He's going to be looking down to chase down his Ferrari compatriot, who had a less than ideal qualifying session, you can say.
Less than ideal would be a very good way to put that, Mikau. But one thing to talk about, Remco Van Putten, less than 3/10 was the gap coming into turn 14 between him and some idiot. Now, DRS is going to be enabled for the first time here. Van Putten has Henners in his sights. Henners now under immediate threat. Some idiot's looking. Remco Van Putten is holding down Henners, and some idiot's rubbing his hands together looking for a window here to just jump through, Mikau.
Yep, it's certainly some hit showing some great pace. Not the best start for the American, but he certainly has the pace to make those hards work. We'll just see if he's able to get through this traffic. It's very, very hard to pass, and we know Henner's a very, very hard defender. So he's certainly not going to make it any easier for him, but there's a lot of action between the two McLarens and Aphrodite heading through Sector 2. Very, very hard to run side by side through this sequence of corners, so it might be a bit more of a parade through the second and third sectors on this track, but the grid is still very, very close. Any mistake from any of these drivers right now is going to spell curtains. It's certainly going to be quite the heartbreak if we see that happen.
Jumping back to the front of the grid, Sindako still holding well in first position. Taking a look at the position changes right now. Him and Freeway are holding station on that front row where they began. Meanwhile, it's Brainstew and Microlander. They've had an exchange. You look at P5, though, all the way down to P9. Deadlocked. They haven't moved. And then you have Yoda and Van Putten inheriting some positions here. And as I say it, some idiot finally getting that move in on Henners. And who else is there to inherit? BTFU looking at this action as well. That's some idiot into 12th position. Henners now going to be under immediate threat from the Renault of BT coming down through turn 2. BTFU around the outside. And who's got a beautiful seat on this, Mikau? It's Brownie looking for a real good opportunity behind these drivers.
Yeah, Alex Bitter as well. Only 3/10 in it between the two Ferraris at the moment, but that is a great move from somebody and a very crucial one at that. So he is able to now push those tires as hard as he can, trying to catch back up to Remco Van Putten. And Nigel has had an issue at turn number 5. He has spun it around, so his race is going from bad to worse after that crash in qualifying at the same piece of track. He's now done it in the race as well, and he has lost a lot of that front wing strip.
Big lockup from Neon Rays coming through turn 13, excuse me. He's on the rear of Ace right now, and he's looking for more positions. Ace with DRS, and this is where things are going to tighten up, and people are going to really have to pick and choose battles when that DRS comes into play. Brownie, he started this race in P15, but Henners is losing positions. He's hemorrhaging positions. He's lost another one as Brownie sweeps ahead. And who else is there? His teammate following suit. So Henners, 2-1 for him. He's lost out major here, and the Ferraris are looking to do some teamwork to get through this field. Of course, they took a 1-2 in Silverstone, and I'm happy about that, and I think Alex was too. Brownie, the newest driver there over at Ferrari, doing some good for the Scuderia. Meanwhile, Ace still on the rear of Microlander in this fight for front-running positions, Mikal.
Yes, and Darko, they're on his softs. It's now at this point that they're really starting to wear. They're really starting to overheat. They're really feeling the wear. And you can just see that Freeware is able to close right back up to the back of that Mercedes. So he's going to be looking to make a move, or maybe even possibly an undercut. Maybe not this early. I don't see the hards really lasting that long until the end of the race from lap 5. But it's certainly doable. Yoda and Astrodite having a bit of a side-by-side exchange through the penultimate corner. Astrodite pulls the pin early. So he is coming into the pits at the end of lap 5. Probably going to go into a set of hards and maybe try and run to the end of this race.
I think that fight might have cost Yoda here. Remco Van Putten not having it. He wants to get Yoda done and dusted here. He's looking for a switchback coming out of turn 1, but he brushes the rear right of Yoda in that McLaren. He's going to have another run here. He looks to the outside. Yoda holds well. Very, very intense battle between the Dutchman and the Albanian in 9th.
Yeah, all these drivers still very, very close on circuit. Freeware just eyeing up this Mercedes, but he just can't get close enough right now to make that lunge into turn 1, or maybe even into turn 2 after the traction zone there. But we were saying before, it can be very, very hard to overtake unless you have a significant pace gap on the driver in front. Freeware braking a little bit late for turn 12. Makes his way through there. Is he going to go for into the pits this lap? No, he is not. Looks like all the front runners are actually staying out for another occasion. Let's see what Rez and those guys behind him do. Don't see anyone really entering the pits just yet. And it looks like, yeah, they're going to be going on for another lap. But looking at Rez, this is on-screen graphics. The pit window is now open for that one stop.
Interrupt you here, Mikal. Yoda got ahead of Rackety here, and I don't think they wanted it to happen, but so has Remco Van Putten into 9th position. Rackety on those softs, starting to drop off pace here to the hard runners and the medium runners. You can see some idiot on those hard compound tires is going to be breathing down Rackety's neck very, very soon here.
Shenji also making a move at the back of this grid. He's now up to P17, getting a very, very nice move done on Henners around turns 2 and 3. And Henners will pick up a 3-second time penalty as well. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. I think that's Neon Rays.
Yeah, and that's a safety car.
No.
A low safety car.
A safety car. So the full
he's gotta
safety
move.
car has been deployed.
He's better move, because if he doesn't, he might just get DSQ'd here. Ooh, he's lucky. He's really lucky. He was stationary for quite some time there. So, lap 7 safety car, ladies and gentlemen. And that is 1 now here in Tier 1 racing. And we have a variety of pit stops here. Brain Stew, the Italian in the Mercedes, Mikal. He stays out here on softs, and I think he's really... I think this is a mistake.
Massive mistake there. Yeah, he's going to be basically last on this grid if he would have pit now. And 7 laps on the softs, he needs to pit. He needs to pit. Alex Bitto now on those hards is now up into 2nd position in this race. We'll see what everyone else is able to do. Freeware has jumped Sindaco in the pits. So Freeware now up into 3rd. Sindaco down into 4th. Chenje into 5th. Of course, not pitting off of those 7-lap old hards. Henners in 6th, also not pitting. Microlander down into 7th. Ace Ritchie into 8th. Yoda into 9th. And Remco Van Putten in 10th. But yeah, that was quite an odd spin there from Neon Rays. He must have just gotten a bit throttle happy there on the exit curbing, or maybe hit the inside curb of turn 7 the wrong way. So that is not the most common place you see cars spin.
Well, this has really shaken things up, hasn't it? Let's take a look at the position changes here. Alex Bitto is into second position on hards. Mikau, listen, if he gets a safety car, which is very likely considering what happened the other day in the EU grid when I had basically called it. If he gets a safety car, even Brainstew in this situation, if he gets a safety car, which is something very likely, you know, safety cars breed safety cars here in some of these virtual races, especially around Hungary. Those guys are going to be in huge. Alex Bitto up 17 positions into second position here, and you have Shenjay up 15. He'll be a winner as well. There is only 4 drivers yet to pit in this race. As I say, Brainstew's come in, and he's gone onto hards. Let's see where he pops out.
It's going to be 19th.
Messy. He's going to be out here at the rear. The only one that's not going to catch him is Nige.
Now, it looks like Neon Rays will also be behind the Mercedes, but that was a bad call. That was a very, very bad call from the Mercedes team. The 2 Italians, actually. 2 Italians filling in at the German squad. Not at Ferrari, as you'd expect. But,
I was going to make a joke, but yeah. You know, it seems like the Mercedes squad is having a hint of what we've seen this season with the Scuderia. Don't shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger, indeed. But now everyone is gotten rid of those softs after Brainstew had his pit. And it's Alex Bitto in the lead of this race. Freeware sitting pretty on those fresh hards. He'll be looking to capitalize off that fresher rubber. Maybe try and jump Alex Bitto within the first few laps of the restart. I think we're still a lap away. Nigel's still fairly far back. He's just making his way through turns 4 and 5 now. But we should be underway racing shortly, and we aren't even a third of the way through this race yet.
I think we're going around again.
I think so as well. Nigel's still very, very far back. 12.6 seconds is the gap.
I imagine he'll be happy that he's been kind of given a life raft here.
Yes, especially after the poor spin and the poor start that he's had. Certainly it is a one-up, a second chance, if you will, at this race. He'll still be at the back, trying to make his way back up into the points, but he's certainly more than capable of doing so. But then again, this is a very, very tight and very, very competitive grid, so all these drivers are capable of doing that on their day. Samidi and Brownie, interesting to note, had pitted for fresh mediums after starting on those hards, so they will more than likely need to make another pit stop. I don't really see them realistically stretching out mediums for 25 laps, although Samedi has shown great tyre management in the past, so if any drivers on this grid could make the mediums last that long, it's probably these two. Certainly well within their capabilities, but it's definitely not ideal. All these drivers on the hards shouldn't have too much to worry about in terms of tyre wear. And the safety car certainly helping them preserve the life for just a couple laps longer.
Oh, and that's exactly it. That safety car is giving them a little bit of extra life. A little bit of extra teeth in the fight here.
Well, Nigel has caught back up to the back of Neon Race in the racing point, so we should be getting the call from Race Kroll. There it is. Safety car is in this lap, so Alex Bitto will become the de facto safety car. He will lead this grid. He controls the pace of the field. We've seen lots of issues on the safety car in the past, so hopefully there aren't too many in this occasion.
Well,
on this occasion,
he's had some good drives, Alex Bitto, and with that, I'm sure he's led his fair share at this point in time. I imagine Freeware just the same understands what's going on here. We'll have to see what kind of launch these drivers get, as I do believe coming out of turn 14 here, Alex is going to hammer down, or is he going to bring it to the line? He's going straight to the line, Mikau, and here we go racing. Sindako right on the rear, but he's got Shenjie on his rear tires as we make our way down into turn 1. It's wheel to wheel, nearly wheel to wheel, I have to say. Henners is having a look in P5 right now. Microlander and Ace Ritchie have exchanged positions as Microlander makes his way into 6th position. More exchanging, some idiots on the move, and Rez is his first target.
Yeah, somebody really trying to use those moves to good effect. You can just see the Ruddies getting it. They were side by side in the turn 4 strift. And they both survive. Somebody running a little bit wide there, but he's able to get through cleanly. He's now up to P11. Remco Van Putten also dropping down a position to Astronaut. There's a yellow flag off. That's Neon Race. He's gone way off at turn 5, so he is out of this race. So all of Racing Point's hopes now rest on some idiot, currently in P11. But what a interesting restart we've already had. Alex Witter going a lot later than Freeware expected, and he was able to keep the German guessing.
Henners wheel to wheel through turn 12, coming down into turn 13 right now. It's Henners defending to the inside, the Red Bull on the outside, which means he's going to have it coming through the 14th turn of this one. Microlander, what a smooth operation out of the Red Bull. He's made it ahead of Henners, and this has exposed Henry major Mikau as Ace is moving down the inside. And Yoda is going to have a front row seat to this action. He's looking to catch up into turn 1 as well.
Lots of position exchanges, stripping. That's what we love to see. Yeah, what an amazing move there from Microlander, really showing his class there around the outside of turn 13.
Van Putten talking about the outside. Sorry to interrupt you. He's looking at Astrodate around the outside of turn 2. He's going to have the inside through turn 3, but Astrodate shuts the door and just powers out and holds the position for now.
Yeah, very, very close battles happening all over this track. You just see on that map how close all the dots are on circuit. Looks like Henners seems to be the bottleneck. A little bit of a gap forming between the top 6 and the rest. But yeah, he seems to really be trying to get those hards up to temperature. We've seen him run super, super wide at a turn 9. Yoda is right on the back of him. He might even be looking for a move down into turn 12. No, the McLaren thinks better of it on this occasion, but he really should be looking to get past this Haas as soon as possible.
Alex Bitto still leading this race on his starting hard compound tires. He's got Freeware and Sandako right up his gearbox right now on the fresher rubber. Meanwhile, Shenjie, who started this race on his hard compound tires, has made his way into 4th position. So the AlphaTauri is doing quite well here so far, as Yoda has now dispatched Henners into turn 1. Astrodite, his teammate, in 9th position, is under threat from Van Putten still, and Brownie is looking at some idiot round the outside through turn 2. Things are tight. Some idiot, Brownie leaving each other very good space. These drivers spend a lot of time practicing.
Made a mistake through turn 3. It's side by side for turn 4 again. Some idiot unable to make the move this time. But that is very, very scary. You can just see somebody trying to control that car. It spots the breaking point nice and well.
These drivers
Henry
aren't
really holding them up here.
These guys can't breathe, Mikau. They can't breathe at all. If they make a mistake, they're gone. Just jumping in here, Raggy. Thank you very much, sir, for the raid of 58 viewers. Welcome to MRL Tier 1 action. We've got a move. That's Brownie around the outside of some idiot, and there's a bunch of cars that are looking to inherit now, and this is really shaking the barrel up down in the backfield.
John trying to look around the outside of Brownie through turn 13. Not going to work right there, but Henners really, really holding them up there. Astrodite able to get past his teammate and away. Remco Van Putten just completely lags through Henners, so that's one way to overtake. Just can't go around, just go through them.
Brainstew on the inside of Swifty. Nigel on the inside of Rez coming through turn 1. Mikau. Brainstew's dispatched Swifty, and Nigel is still holding on with Rez, and that's going to be BTFU having the front row seat to all of this action with the popcorn in the cockpit. And look at Nigel. He's still being held up by Rez. Henners and some idiot now.
Great effective driving as well there. Just squeezing out Nigel. And this is the fight for 16th, ladies and gentlemen. Look how tense it is, and these guys aren't even fighting for points at the moment. This is incredible.
This is one heck of a race we're seeing here around a circuit that doesn't really provide much action. We're seeing a lot of action around the Hungarian. Mikau. Brownie is looking real hard at Henners. And Henner's having a little bit of a connection issue. He looks like he's going to lose that position, with Jean looking to inherit as well.
Yeah, Jean on the inside of turn 12. He's going to easily dispatch Henner's there in the Haas. And Brainstew now is the next one looking to eye up that Haas. Currently in 13th position. Brainstew taking a nice wide line, trying to get the cut back. He loses the rear though. That's going to completely ruin this overtake attempt. Henner's having the DRS on Jean ahead of him. But that was some really, really close fighting. Meanwhile, at the front of this grid, Freeware still very, very close to the back of Alex Bitto in this fight for the lead. It's only 3.5 tenths the gap between those two. A little bit of a larger gap between Sadako and Shenjay as well behind them, but they are keeping up nice and well. And all these top 6 are within DRS range of each other. A little bit of a gap back to Yoda, who's been able to clear the traffic. Astrodite as well, trying to do his best to get through. And with a bit of a mistake from Freeway, it means Sadako has an amazing move down the inside into turn number 8. You don't see that one every day, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the Mercedes up into P2 once again, and Freeware has his work cut out for him now, Striff.
Sindako, pole position, leading the race into that safety car. And of course now he's looking to inherit the lead of this race once again. Alex Bitto staying out on his starting compounded tire here. Freeware are going to be looking to really stick with Sindako.
I'm just having a look at this battle for the 9th position at the moment. Summit and Remco have been side by side for 3 corners now. Summit will have the DRS, but is it going to be enough? Remco, they're both out of battery, Striffium. But Summit will have that inside line. He goes a little bit deep. Remco tries to switch, but he gets on the curb and he half spins it around. And that'll be the move for Summit. He's now up to P9.
Wow. You really can't look away from a lot of the battling that's happening on circuit. We've only got so many camera angles we can use, and there's just so much action going on here, Mikau. Nigel looking at Henners. They're less than half a second apart on this grid right now, and it's a massive snake coming through the Hungaroring with a couple of separations here and there. One of those separations is Astrodite, and he's going to be the next target on some idiot's list now that he's dispatched the Dutchman of Remco van Putten. As I say it, Jean and Brainstew, it appears Brainstew with a move into 12th.
Yeah, Brainstew trying to recover from that massive, massive strategy blunder. Probably would have been better just to double stack with his teammate. But I'm sure he knows that now, and he's doing everything that he can to recover back some points. We aren't even halfway through this race, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a lot of action. That's BTFU going all the way down to 18th. Nigel and Rackety side by side through turn 13. Rackety will have that inside line into the final corner, but that means Nigel will have the DRS. They'll both have DRS. They're both within range of Henry. So it is completely equal footing for those two, both having the overtake ERS mode on. They're closing super, super fast. Nigel goes for a late lunge. Down the inside of turn 1, they're still side by side, but Rackety is able to get the better exit, and he is able to hold off Nigel for P16 as they catch up to the lagging Henners in that Haas.
Very neatly done there from both of these drivers to keep it clean, I have to say. Nigel with a little bit of a Hail Mary into the inside there. But things are clean. These drivers are still racing, and that's what you love to see, is a little bit of risk-taking without ruining the other driver's race. And Hungary, a circuit that doesn't provide a lot of opportunities, and risks are almost necessary here.
They most certainly are, Striffium. Some idiot. Looks like he's been risking it with the track limits. He's picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that's certainly going to be weighing down on his mind. Henners will pick up another one as well. And looks like somebody yet struggling to really get close enough to Astrodite. Astrodite putting a couple tires into the grass. The entry of 14, the DRS is now open. A few clouds are out, but I don't know if there's going to be any rain coming. Some idiot has that overtake mode. DRS isn't going to be enough. Astrodite goes semi-defensive. Both of them are locking up into turn 1. There's a bit of a snap there. Somebody does very well to catch it, but that is an overtake opportunity wasted there for the Racing Point. He'll have to hold a station for now and just watch as his rivals get further and further away, as Yoda has a 4-second gap over Astrodite currently in P7.
It's absolutely wild to think right now some idiot, a driver who we've seen with such rapid pace right now. It's just the Hungaroring it's such a train of dirty air. And you can see him even on the rear of Astrate defending quite well. It's just such a, like, you need to get through the traffic, and it's so hard to do that in order to make up those positions. So I imagine somebody right now really itching to go here, but turn 1 is really, turn 1 and 2, they're the safest places to overtake.
What somebody needs to do now is just not get impatient, just keep composed, because the longer that this goes on, Remco Van Putten is getting ever closer. Astrodites seem to really be the cork in the bottle here. It seems to be a common theme between the Haas drivers. But Remco Van Putten is really starting to catch up. Astrodite going defensive. There's a late lunge there from some idiot. He's very, very late on the brakes, but he's not late enough. Astrodite doing very, very well. What amazing defensive driving there from the Haas. Some idiot just can't find a way through. And that means that Remco Van Putten, Brainstew, Brownie, and Jean have all caught back up. And Sadako has made a move on Alex Bitter for the lead through turns 4 and 5, Striff.
Things are getting really hairy here, and I don't know if the forecast was correct even in the slightest, because the clouds are coming in real dark here, Mikkel.
The clouds are certainly
that safety car may have thrown a wrench in it.
Rez will set the new fastest lap of the race with a 1:17.8. You can see that the grid is separating. It's a couple of different pockets of drivers. Alex Bitter on these 18-lap-old hards now really starting to feel the wear. 7 tenths is now the gap between himself and Sindaco Freeway. If he wants to have any chance of winning this race, he needs to get past the Ferrari, and he needs to get past now. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case, though. Alex Bitter using some of that overtake. Has the DRS still on Sindaco. He's clutching. He's caught by 4 tenths in the down that main straight. He'll have DRS once again, but those 19-lap-old hards now aren't providing nearly as much traction as those 11-lap-old mediums. Brainstew as well making a move on Remco Van Putten. Actually, as I said, that they're still side-by-side strip from here towards turn 2.
They are in a really tight battle right now. Brainstew in 10th position. Remco Van Putten trying to do what he can to hold that Mercedes, but now the Mercedes has made it into 10th position. He's on the back foot. He's got Brownie on the rear of him on the mediums as well. And I genuinely think that safety car has made this weather forecast change, because why else would Shenjie and Alex Bitter be pushing 19 laps on the hards at this point in the race? Could they be holding out? Could they be holding out for some weather here?
Well, the sky certainly makes it a possibility. I don't know if there's going to be enough rainfall, or if it's just going to be all gloomy from the heavens above. But that's certainly possible.
Somebody around the outside. Sorry, Mikkel. Oh, he couldn't get it. He tried, Mikkel. He tried to go around the outside. Now he's going to look to the inside, perhaps, with the DRS and overtake.
He's closer this time. This is the closest he's ever been, heading towards the brake zone. Astro a little bit late on the brakes. A little bit of a tap there. Somebody does very well to catch that slide, but Astrodite giving it 110% in this defense, but he goes wide at turn 2, leaves the space. Somebody down the inside turn 2. Astrodite will have the line for turn 3, and this Racing Point just can't seem to get past this Haas at all. The gap is now 6 seconds to Yoda. And you can just see the train forming behind this Haas, going all the way down to 13th with Jean. And you can just see how much Astrodite is holding these drivers up.
I have to say, Astrodite is just putting that car in all the right places right now. Some idiot, I'm sure, would say the same. Some idiot, a very good driver, a very patient driver. Astrodite is genuinely holding him up. And the mediums on both of these cars have an entire field of drivers behind on the hards, with Brownie being the exception, and Brownie's not too far off either.
Just absolutely amazing there.
Freeware.
Front, Freeware having a little bit of a dive there on Alex Bitter. He has the inside. Who's going to get the better exit? Looks like Freeware using that DRS. Looks like pretty even now, though they're still side by side. Alex Bitter will have the inside line for turn 2. Trying to squeeze Freeware out a little bit. There's a little bit of a tap there, but no love lost between those two. Alex Bitter will hold position for now, but he has very, very low battery. But as does Freeware. Freeware cuts turn 4. and Bitto extends wide at turn 4. They'll both be receiving warnings for that, I'm sure. But Alex Bitto is holding position for now. Sindako pulling up a 2-second gap, and Brainstew has also overtaken Some Idiot into turn 4 as well.
Oh no, and Some Idiot, a little bit of a shakeout in that racing point. Losing a little bit of time to Remco Van Putten. We have the rear shot from the Mercedes. Some Idiot quite close, and Brainstew now on these hard compound tires. Here's a big question. Is he going to be able to keep up with Astrodite? Because he's dropping off, and this could be a big problem for this train behind. Does he actually have the pace to be there right now? I mean, was it an inheritance based on mistake, or was it speed?
I think it would have just been a mistake. I don't know why else there would be an overtake at turn 4. But Brainstew has been able to make that move stick, and he's caught up to Astrodite. 5 tenths is now the gap, 4.5 now. Using that DRS, Some Idiot seems to really be struggling. That car just really isn't working in all of this dirty air, but he's doing very, very well to keep it on the road, I must say. But these pockets of drivers are certainly making it hard for us to fear in the commentary booth.
Alex Bitto and Shenjay really need to start thinking about the long-term plan here. We're on lap 23, Mikau. They're on 22 lap old hards. What is the call?
Either wait for rain or go to softs, I think, at this point. I mean, if they pit this lap, they'll still get the most out of the medium tires. But at this point, I'm not entirely sure what these guys are going to be doing. The skies certainly aren't making that any clearer for us up here, and probably for the drivers as well. But it's now crunch time for those two. They do still need to make that mandatory pit stop, and the longer that they stay out, the more and more time they're going to allow the likes of Astrodite and Yoda to catch back up. Speaking of, Yoda's already caught up. He's right on the back of Ace Ritchie. About 6 tenths is the gap, as Sindako will set a new fast lap for the race. Now 3 seconds. 3 seconds Strifium ahead of Alex Bitto in P2.
Wow. Very good debut from him in a reserve capacity, that's for sure. Over at Mercedes, Alex Bitto still defending the German. That's Freeware, of course, in third position. And now we have an overtake. It's Brainstew around the outside of Astrolate as they come down out of turn 1. Who's ahead? That's going to be Brainstew ahead of Astrolate coming down into turn 2. And now Some Idiot has caught back up with who I'll call his rival for this race, considering how Astrodate was defending. Swifty and BTFU having a wheel-to-wheel exchange right now. BTFU on the inside coming out of turn 2. He's holding off Swifty.
Well, they're still going at it, Striff. 1/10 is in it between those two, but through turn 4, it looks like BTFU has made that position stick for now. As Swifty has a massive, massive moment there at turn 5. He's able to catch it. Well done to him for catching that one. That was a massive slide, and yet another slide through turn 7.
Things are getting real intense on this grid as these drivers are really pushing these tires hard here. Speaking of hards, 23 about to be 24 laps for Alex Bitto. Sindako is just pushing.
He is really pushing that Mercedes. A 17.6.
We were on the inside of Alex.
The Freeware has now made the move on Alex Bitto. He is now through into P2, but I think it's a bit too little too late. Sindako is gone. He is 4 seconds up the road strip, and that is a big ass.
Yeah, well, we still got 10 laps of racing left here. Anything can happen, from safety car, VSC to car retirements here around the Hungary. We've already had one. Unfortunately, Neon Ray's out of this race as Astrodite has had a big issue, as I've said it, McGowan. He's into the wall coming outside of turn 4. And that is going to be a safety car.
That is a safety car. Wow. And there's some drops. There's some drops as well.
Oh my God. Lap 25 here around the Hungary, round 13 tier 1 action. We've got rain starting to pour, safety car deployed, an extremely tight, congested grid to begin with, and we're going to do it all again.
Some idiot's missing a lot of his front wing as well, so I'm not too sure what happened between him and Astrodite. Looks like it might have been just a collision at turn 3. Just maybe some idiot carrying a bit too much speed, or Astrodite going a bit slower than some idiot was expecting. And just, I'm not sure. I'm sure the stewards will have a look at it post-race. But that is a big accident that has completely flipped this race on its head. Alex Bitter going for the gamble. He's now put on the intermediates, but Yoda doesn't think it's going to get heavy enough. He's gone onto the softs. But the top 6 have stayed out.
China tier 1 round, was it round 3? China? Round 4.
Round 4, I believe.
Round 4. That was something, and now we're shaping up to do it all again. So,
Shenjay, if this isn't causing excitement at Hungary, right? this certainly deserves a follow, right? Come on, guys.
Yeah. This is something else. Thank you to everybody tuning in, of course. Thank you so much.
We all appreciate you. And this is everything up until this point now, ladies and gentlemen, Stryfium, everyone. Everything up until this point has been completely thrown out the window. There is drops of rain on the circuit. The top 7 are on extremely worn hards. Alex Bitter, Some Idiot, Brownie, and Rez have all gone for the massive gamble onto not mediums, the intermediates. Remco Van Putten and Hennes boxed for some fresh medium tires. Yoda, BTFU, Swifty J, and Rackety don't think it's going to get heavy enough for intermediates. They are gambling that it will stay like this for the rest of the race, and they've put on a set of soft compound tires.
Oh, man.
With 10 laps to go. One's pitting from the top 6, it would seem. And that is...
Let us know. Let us know in the chat. We got a poll running in the chat, guys. Will there be enough rain for wet tires in this race? Yes or no answer. We've got nearly 7 laps left of contention. We're under safety car conditions. We're not really going to get a heck of a lot of green flag running for these intermediate. It's going to be so touch and go. And Shenjay started the race on those tires, if I'm not mistaken.
That he did.
So he's still got a pit here. He's the only driver that still has to pit. So could he be waiting to the end of this is big brain here if Shenjay is doing this, Mikhail, because could he be waiting? Well, he could be waiting to determine the conditions.
If he pulls this off, this could be a masterstroke here. It's a massive gamble to say the least, considering that this is a safety car, and if he were to get this wrong, he'd most certainly be out of the points.
Well, it's a big gamble. He's got to come in. The big question right now and why he's staying out is what tires am I going on? The rain isn't really coming down at an excessive rate right now, but that's right now. What happens in 3 laps from now is a big question, and this safety car isn't going to be coming in 3 laps from now. It's going to be coming in, I think, at the end of lap 28, leading into lap 29. So we're going to be really scratching our heads here to figure out what strategy is optimal, and we've had a few of these races before, but this race, Hungary, is an entirely different caliber given tire wear. You know, the driver on the hards, especially hards 26 lap olds, how is he going to be able to tell whether or not the conditions are slick because of the rain or because of the lack of grip on the tires? That is a big question as well. So
you can't tell.
It's hard to tell. Exactly.
Can't tell in this situation.
The chat has
because
said
those tires are really, really worn, and that slip that you'd expect from the rain is only going to get exacerbated by the wear, and it's really, really unclear. The only real indication that Shenjay will have is when DRS gets disabled under normal green flag running, but DRS is already disabled because of the safety car, so he's probably going to be asking Jeff every single sector, what's the rain line? What's the rain line? Is it getting heavier? Is it getting lighter? Like, what's going on? I need to pit. And he has certainly put himself in a spot of bother mentally, at least. But on track, he is in quite a unique position, I would say.
Well, we saw what happened earlier in this race when Brainstew and Sindako had the safety car, and Brainstew chose not to stack in the pit lane, Mikhail. You remember when after the safety car he decided to pit, and he dropped like a stone through this tower, and we're in a very similar situation here in Shenjay's case now. He's in P3. This grid is locked tight, okay? It's not like the grid's going to have a massive amount of separation. The only separation that's going to get caused here is by the tires these drivers are on. The pace has been deadlocked all season long. These drivers are very competitive.
That they are. Like, it's unbelievably how competitive they are. But Brainstew has spun. Brainstew has spun under safety car. He did recover all the way up into P6. He's now down to P16. And he's just thrown away points
Oh,
with that spin.
That's terrible for him. It's very sad to see that's happened to Brainstew. It looks like we're getting a little bit of overtaking shenanigans, and the car has been signaled McCow to come in. So Sindako now leading this race away at this restart.
Now with that spin, it tells me that the rain might be getting heavier. So could Alex Bitto on these intermediates win the race with only 7 laps of running left to go, I think?
Shenjay
is correct. Yeah.
is really feeling the lack of grip on these hards right now, and we're away racing here, green flag conditions, and it's going to be an immediate threat onto the rear of, well, Alex Bitto's been overtaken on these inters by 2 drivers on the dry compound tires. 3 drivers. He's been mugged, McCow, and it's the 2 Renaults and Yoda in an exchange right now. Yoda and Remco Van Putten wheel to wheel.
Oh, no. Swifty as well getting swiftly past. Excuse the pun there. Was one intentional, maybe. Rackety around the outside of turn 3. Alex Bitto, these inters were definitely not the call.
Well, who else is going to be feeling that, McCow? It's some idiot and Brownie on the inters, as well as Nigel and Rez, and Henner's on the mediums is on a charge, and he's got some people to hunt down. There goes John, picking him off like a fly. Brainstew's up ahead on some seriously old hards as he dropped down the field, and now he's got Bitto holding a bump on the inters. This is huge for the Haas.
Wow, this is all these intermediate runners. They made the gamble, and the gamble has not worked out. It's raining, but it's not raining enough. These slick tires have so much more grip, and now it's a fight between all these guys here for track position.
McCow,
these point positions.
Shenjay is entering lap 29 on the hards. Lap 30, excuse me.
He's still not pitted. I don't know if that's the right call. He really needs to make a decision now. He's going to get disqualified if he doesn't make a pit stop.
Oh, things are really intense right here in this midfield.
Swifty and Rackety going side by side into turn 2 in these damp conditions. Swifty holding it around the inside there. But that means it will become the outside for turn 3. They're still side by side. There's a bit of a tap there. But they're both able to survive, thankfully. That was very scary, especially with some rain falling down. You can see Swifty all over the place.
We could see these intermediates come into play, McCow. You can see the grip falling off. He's on softs, and it's only 3-lap old softs at that, and he could be really sliding here, and things are starting to come down a little bit heavier. You can see the raindrops flying over the tires. I think that, this is going to be such a dynamic race finish. You got penalties that are going to play a role as well.
Yes, we haven't been paying too much attention to the penalties, but it is Hungary, and Hungary in the dry is very easy to pick up penalties. I do believe Freeware might have one. But Shenjay is getting the gap unintentionally for his teammate by holding up Microlander, and Ace Ritchie as well on those old hards. But Yoda is right in it as well. DRS has now been enabled. Yoda, 3-lap old softs against 22-lap old mediums. Ace Ritchie squeezing him towards the wall there. But Yoda holds that inside line. Is he later on the brakes? They're about the same, but Ace Ritchie goes way wide there. And Yoda is through to 5th. Now next on his list is Microlander. There's 5 laps left in this race, and could Yoda be seeing a podium?
Rackety on the inside with a good chunk of traction. BTFU coming into the inside now through turn 3. Rackety with a little bit of a wave onto the outside curbing there with Remco Van Putten. He's come together with Ace Ritchie coming through turn 4, and they've come together massively. And there's going to be a massive incident as a result of that, and that's going to cause a big yellow flag through sector 2. And I'm not entirely sure what Remco Van Putten was doing there, but I don't think his nose belonged in that at all. But of course the stewards are going to have to take a definite look. Yoda on the softs, McAl. Could he be in for a serious podium here? Because look at the gap between him and Microlander. He's on the inside coming down into turn 12. A little bit of brush on the rear of that Red Bull from him. He's on the inside now coming down into turn 13. He's got the Red Bull of Microlander on his outside. Microlander, no answer for this at the moment because he's on 22-lap old hards.
And Yoda's just storming through this grid now. He's still got Shenjay in front of him now. Chenjay needs to pit. So Yoda is in a podium place at the moment. Will he be able to catch up to Freeware? I'm not too sure, but Freeware is catching up to Sindaka, it would seem. Still 5/10 the gap between those two. Chenjay 3 seconds back from them. Yoda right on his tail there. BTFU on those softs, looking up the inside of Microlander, isn't able to quite get close enough, but he is certainly putting that Red Bull under immense pressure, but he picks up a 3-second time penalty with 4 laps to go.
Oh man, Yoda right now, half a second to Shenjay. Let us know in the chat who's winning this race right now. We've got Sindako, Freeware, Shenjay, your top 3. Shenjay still has to pit here. He's not really in this equation. Yoda is a net P3 in this scenario.
Oh, you can just see the amount of time that Yoda's losing behind Shenjay. Those 31-lap-old hards must be done. They must have been done like 10 laps ago, Striff. But he's still on them. He's still yet to make his pit stop. Yoda up the inside into turn 12. There's a bit of contact there. Microlander's going to be looking around that as well. And Yoda has gone onto the grass, unable to find the traction. That means Swifty's through. BTFU is through. Yoda's down into P8 now. And Rackety around the outside of BTFU through the final corner. We'll see what they're able to do. They're all going to have DRS. The lights are now on. Chenjay will pick up a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting and gaining 1 place. Microlander now up into P3 in this race. BTFU now on the inside of Chenjay. He's now through into P4. Rackety as well now trying to find his way through. Looking around the outside of Chenjay into turn 2. These hards are done. These softs still have lots of grip left in them. They're still side by side as they make their way through turn 3. Chenjay getting squeezed out a little bit, but Rackety is now through. Swifty now looking on Chenjay as well, out around the outside of turn 4, and he is through as well. Yoda now is the next one trying to overtake Chenjay, and Chenjay's just getting mugged.
Well, last time Yoda went for a move on Shenjay, it didn't go so well. Shenjay's had to blow the chicane here. He's not got the traction. We're going to take a look at this car now. He may have a puncture because he's lost he's got no puncture. He's doing okay for the time being, but he's stretched these tires 32 laps. He's got a little bit of rain here to help him out to keep those tires from puncture status, but of course he's got to get in for new tires. He hasn't used 2 compounds of tires in this race. He started this race on hards. The same hards.
He's still on them. He's drifting through the final corner, and yes, he's finally coming into the pits for what I'd assume would be a set of soft compound tires at this rate, considering how well the intermediates have gone.
BTFU on the inside of Microlander.
BTFU with a nice dive, as you were saying, Striffium. He's now up into that podium place, but he runs wide on the exit. It means that Microlander's going to have an opportunity to come back at the Renault. They're still side by side. BTFU with that DRS helping a little bit. Bit of a lock up there from Microlander, but BTFU still holding it around the inside of turn 2. Becomes the outside for turn 3, and Microlander backs out of that. So BTFU is through now for P3, and he has a lap and a bit to build the gap that he needs to secure this podium. Rackety trying to look at Microlander as well. Swifty and Yoda right behind them as well. The 2 McLaren boys in a very, very strong position, as are the 2 Red Bulls. It's a battle between these 2 constructors at the moment, Striff, with the advantage currently at the Red Bull squad, but Microlander on those hard tires, those old hard tires at that, is not going to have a lot of grip left, especially in these damp conditions.
This is a very intense mixture of driving right now that we're seeing from all of these guys. Look at all the different tires on this grid. I will say one thing. I think the intermediate compound tires are starting to come into play here, Mikau. Alex Bitto is actually catching up a little bit to Remco Van Putten. Also, one thing here. There goes Swifty out wide coming through turn 13, and that's going to allow Yoda through. Rackety looking real closely at Microlander on the inside on the exit. These softs with a good ton of traction in comparison right now to the inside. DRS still in utilization here for these racers, which is always an indicator for a lot of these guys about what tires to be on here. I think Shenjay made a mistake on those inters.
Yeah, Shenjay threw his race away, it would seem. Just wasn't able to quite make the right decision. Very hard for him to make that right decision, but Microlander has now been overtaken by both McLarens within the space of 2 corners. That's Yoda now up into P5, Rackety in P4 with an amazing drive thus far, as we are now on the final lap of this race. Sindako with the 1.2 second gap over Freeware. He is pulling away slightly. I think Freeway does have a 3-second time penalty as well, so he is probably safe with that race win, but the rain is still coming and he still has half a lap to complete. Anything can happen. It would be absolute heartbreak if he were to throw it away at this stage of the race.
We saw in the EU on Tuesday, Jake blew a race win with a 3-second penalty through turn 11 here. Sindako.
The two McLarens fighting into sector 3. Striff, sorry to cut you off there, but they're still fighting. There's a bit of a wheel tap there between the two of them. Microlander is now right on the back of Yoda. This is the final lap, ladies and gentlemen, as well. So this is it for these drivers. But Rackety defending hard from his teammate. He's run out of battery to use. But Sindako will come across the line to win the race, win the Hungarian GP. Freeway across the line in second. BTFU will come across in third. Rackety in fourth. Yoda will jump up to third on penalties. Microlander to fourth. BTFU fifth. Brainstew, after that early strategy blunder, will secure P6. Rackety into P7. Henners will score some more points for the half squad in P8. Actually, P9 now is Ace. Goes into P8. Henners P9. Swifty P10 will be the final points place as DRS gets disabled just as the race ends.
Wow. So it was going to get heavier. It just wasn't when the drivers needed it, especially those on the intermediates. You can see Alex, Biddo, Shenjay, Brownie, Some Idiot, Jean, and Rez all opted to go onto those green intermediate compound tires here, and I think they'll tell you it was the wrong call. Now, all of the drivers that stayed out on the hards, you can see clearly out, or not hards, I should say, dries Mikkel stayed out pretty well ahead of the top 10. Now, that was a very unique race, I have to say. What a long haul. Yoda getting the game awarded driver of the day, of course. Just a fantastic set of racing that we've had today. That's our third race of the day. We've had OCE, the Oceanic Grid, of course. We've had Tier 2 and now Tier 1, and there it is, Sindako. Congratulations to you on the race win, on your reserve debut as well in the Mercedes, which is, a Mercedes, something people are very, very familiar with on the podium. But you know what? Congratulations, because it's an Italian with the race win here. And we know how the Italians love speed. They make some beautiful cars, of course. AlphaTauri there on the podium, as well as McLaren. It was Sindako, Freeware, and Yoda, your top three here in this one, Mikkel. Why don't you take us through how the rest of it went with Brainstew with that fastest lap there, 117.6.
Yeah, so Sindako, Freeware, and Yoda having great drives there onto the podium. Microlander coming home in yet another fourth position with a great drive himself. BTFU just picked up too many penalties early on in the race. He was on for a podium shot, but he'll still take P5. That's a solid haul of points for the Renault squad. Brainstew in P6 in the other Mercedes with that fastest lap. Rackety in 7th place will pick up some solid points to support his now championship leading teammate. P8 will go to Ace Ritchie in that Williams seat. Henners will score his second points finish of the season with a P9 here in Hungary. And Swifty will pick up that final point with Alex Biddo just missing out there in 11th place from the back of the grid. Shenjay with that really unfortunate gamble, just didn't work out for him, didn't get heavy enough when he needed it, so he will come across the line in 12th place. Brownie in 13th, Remco Van Puden in 14th, Summit in 15th, Jean in 16th, Rez in 17th, Nigel, the last of the finishers, in 18th, Astrodite and Neon Rays both unable to finish this one.
34 full laps on the hard compound tires for Shenjay Mikkel. He went onto the intermediates for 1 lap and 1 lap alone, and that was the final lap. What a race that was. Of course, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who's following along with the league. My name is Striffium, hailing from Canada. Joining me all the way from Australia is Mikkel. And of course, the Misfits is a global league. We try to race, we've got races all at all times now, really. But we're really happy to have you here. We're really hoping you enjoyed that race here around Hungary. It was I think that might have been the best one of the week. That was our 4th Hungarian Grand Prix of the week. We've got a lot of great racing happening here. Tomorrow we have Club Division at 2 p.m. CDT. That's going to be 8 p.m. for those of you in the UK. That's 8 p.m. BST. The Club Division takes place, and that will be our final race of the week here around Hungary. And then this Saturday we have the Endurance Series back on an off weekend for Formula One. Normally it follows the Formula One races, but this is a makeup race for a race we had missed last week due to some rescheduling stuff. But of course, we are going to be jumping into Suzuka for a 100% endeavor, and those races are something to watch. I have to say, it's a very, very fun time commentating those. It's just hang out, grab the popcorn, get some drinks going. It's a good time. Of course, we are going to be rating a member of the community. I'm just going to figure out who that is in a moment's time for you all. But of course, jump on into our YouTube channel, Twitter, of course, the Discord if you're looking for a great racing community. We have a ton of races happening all the time. It's a great community to jump in and learn. So, a lot of fun for sure. Now, thank you, everybody. We're going to hit you with the outro, and we are going to jump ahead and raid a member of the community in just a moment's time. I hope you join us for the raid train, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for Club Division.